Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsea. If you like this video, please let me know by giving it a thumbs up or commenting below. If you want to see more of my videos, press the subscribe button and click on the bell for notifications. If you need any Stampin' Up! Products to make these cards, you can visit my online store and the link is in the description box below. When you purchase Stampin' Up! Products through me, you can earn free products. Check out my current customer appreciation products on my blog, and the link is listed below in the description. Today, I'd like to share with you my July 2021 Artisan Design Team Showcase projects. And both these cards use the beautiful Sweet as a Peach stamp set, the coordinating peach dies, and then I also use the scallop contour dies for the fun scalloped rectangles on both cards. And today I'm also going to be sharing with you a watercoloring technique so that you can get a fun look to your peaches. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've created a little diagram here that you can also find a picture of on my blog. And I'm sharing with you the different steps on how to create the layers for the watercolor look to our peach. Now I did do this technique for all of the peaches on both cards, and so that's why I'm sharing both cards today in my video. So to begin, you're going to start by stamping your single peach in a light color, and I'm using Pale Papaya. Then you're going to take that Pale Papaya and get a little ink in the lid, and you can either do that with an ink dropper or by squeezing the lid when closed. I'll show you what that looks like. So when your ink pad's closed, you can just squeeze it and it adds ink to the inside of your lid. So you're going to take that and you're just going to brush on a thin layer of water with a little bit of color, just to kind of start the process for watercoloring. Now, I forgot to mention that I'm also stamping and working on shimmery white cardstock. You want to make sure that you're not doing this on the basic white cardstock. It's just not quite thick enough, but you can do it on shimmery white or watercolor paper. Either one of those papers will work really nicely with this technique. So the next technique, so we did 1 and 2. 2 is just a watercolor wash. The next one is we're going to start to add our layers. So I've got Mango Melody next. Just make sure you've got some ink in there. Going to add a little water with my water painter. And I can add that color wherever I want, just a little bit brighter color. So you can see that the Mango Melody has a little more yellow to it. And it's just another layer of color there. And I'm leaving some of the regular color as well. Next, I'm going to go in with a darker color, which I'm using Calypso Coral. And again, a little bit of water, squeezing that and picking up some color. And here I'm going in with, I want that dark, rich red color that peaches have. And it's not all over, so we're kind of just highlighting some areas where the sun's going to sit and kiss that peach to really make it warm and juicy. So then once this dries, we can go in with just a little bit. So that was step number 3. So we've got our Mango Melody and a couple other colors here. And then our last step is to go in there and really darken up those colors. And what I do for that is just grab just the ink this time. And I want to add some dark colors where maybe like the stem would go, maybe down at the bottom for some shadows, maybe along the edges. I'm kind of just patting this color into some of the previous color, just on top of ridges, you know, because peaches have the different ridges. just to kind of help define that peach just a little bit more. Now you've noticed I didn't touch any of the highlight there, and then there was a highlight over here on this side that I did not change as well. And that comes from the original image. So here's that highlight and the highlight coming here. So we're using that image to kind of create a watercolor peach with multi-layers and colors. So now we're just going to let this dry, and we'll cut it out with our coordinating die. And you can see here that I've done 3 of those for one card, and then did the same thing for my second card, but with the small peaches. And while we're watercoloring, I do want to mention that I did a similar technique with the flowers and the leaves. And so I'm going to go ahead and share with you how I did those. So the leaves I did in Granny Apple Green, and just inked those up and stamped it. Then again, had some color in my lid and just added water to that ink color, and then just brushed in that coloring. And what this did is just kind of smooth out the image and gives it that watercolor feel. If you wanted to add more layers of color, you can, but I kept it really simple and only used the Granny Apple Green. And you can see how that kind of smooths it out from the original image. Let me ink up the original again so you can see the difference. So there's the watercolor, and here's just the stamped image. And then I did the flowers with fresh freesia, and just exactly the same as we did the leaves. So stamped those on some shimmery white cardstock. And you can see how the image of the stamp looks. So then with a clean paintbrush and a little bit of ink and water, you're just going to brush that color over those flowers. And again, it's going to kind of smooth out the image and create a nice watercolor look that goes well with the peaches. I'll just do 2 of these so you can kind of get an idea of how it looks. So here's the stamped images and the 2 watercolor image. Then for the inside of the flowers, I used Blackberry Bliss and just used this little flower center image and stamped that in the center of each flower. Make sure to wait until the image is dry before adding this element, or it will bleed and not look nice and crisp. Okay, so that's how I created all the images for my cards. So let's go ahead and cut these out and put our cards together. So I have stamped, watercolored, and cut out 3 large peaches, 3 of the leaf and stems, and then I have 9 flowers. I've also stamped my greeting and then cut it out with the small scallops from the scallop contour dies, and then used the angled label that comes in the peach dies. And then I stamped the greeting in Blackberry Bliss. Then I've got a card base of Basic White Cardstock, and it's the thick, which I like to use for my card bases. It's just been cut to your regular cardstock size, which is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. Then I've got a piece of the herringbone tile pattern from the In Good Taste Designer Series paper, and I'm just going to add this to the front of my card base. It's been cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5, so it should be perfect size for this card front here. Then I'm going to use a piece of vellum. I've cut the large scallop rectangle from the scalloped contours dies, and then I'm going to add a large circle, and this is in Blushing Bride, and placing that off about in the center, maybe off to the left just a little bit of center. This is where I'm going to kind of place all of my images. This kind of grounds my images. So it's about 1 inch from the bottom of the rectangle and to the left, so that we can still see the scallops. And then I can add my adhesive behind that element and place it on my card base. So let's go ahead and do that. And then this goes right in the center. Next, I'm going to add my greeting. On the back of this, I'm going to place some of the silver metallic twine. So I've got that, and I'm just going to wrap it around my hand 3 times. Pinch the ends together and then kind of open up the circle a little bit. Add the ends to one side of my label, and then kind of just place the other pieces on the other side to create a nice little grouping of twine. And then I can kind of move things around to get a little bit more movement in that twine to make it feel just a little bit more natural, just like that. And then I can add that to my card with dimensionals. And then this is going to go to the left of the circle, right in the center. Okay, so I've added dimensionals and glue dots to all the images. I'm going to begin by placing the peaches because I want them to go in certain places, and then we can fill it in with the smaller images. So I've got 2 peaches on the right side. This top one is actually going to be placed underneath the label just slightly. Place the front one down right next to the edge here. So it looks something like that. Then we'll do some leaves and flowers together. So we'll start up at the top. So this one is kind of an upside down leaf because I wanted some leaves to go to the right. So you can see the smaller ones on the bottom and the larger one is on top. The one that's going to be touching the peach, I'm going to add a glue dot, and then the one that's on the card has a dimensional. And they just sit right on top of the peach like this. And then these other ones are similar but kind of opposite. So the large is on the bottom. So like that. And then this one over here on this side. That one kind of comes off the card a little bit. Okay, and then we tuck in the flowers next. So there are 3 sizes of flowers. You have a small, medium, and large. And so you can really place these wherever you would like to. I'm just going to add a small one, maybe a medium one off here to the side. Another small one on my peach. Let's do a large one with a dimensional behind this peach, kind of tucked in. Then we've got another small one tucked in over here by the label underneath the twine. And then we've got a large tucked in just below that. Then I've got a medium one, and this one's got the glue dot near the top so that it can sit on top of the peach. And then I've got maybe another medium-sized one tucked in over here on the left side, underneath the label and leaf. So just however you can squeeze that in. Okay, so there are all the flowers around our peaches. So then the last thing we're going to add are just some rhinestones. And I've just kind of placed some small ones all around my card. So wherever you want to place them, you can. I've got 2 up here, maybe one on a peach, one down here by some flowers. Let's add one more. Let's place it maybe here on the peach too. Okay, so just place them wherever you want them. And this card is all done. So let's go ahead and move to card number 2. So for card number 2, we've got the same techniques I've used for the peaches and the leaves. We're just kind of focusing on adding them to the right side of our card. I have another card base of thick Basic White Cardstock. I'm adding the hexagon tile pattern from the In Good Taste Designer Series paper as my background pattern, and that just goes right onto my card base. I have a piece of fresh freesia cardstock that's been cut with one of the scallops from the scalloped contour dies, and that's just going to go in the center of my card. Just kind of eyeball that. You can use the pattern to try and make sure everything's lined up. We're going to add some more silver twine behind this greeting. So again, you're going to take some silver twine, wrap it around your hand about 3 times. So when you add loops behind a circle, it can be a little bit more tricky. So we want to first kind of get the curl out of the twine. Just run that through your hand a couple times. Make sure your label is going the right way. And then you just want to start with an end on the label and then come around and wrap it. And then just keep kind of going back and forth, creating some different loops all the way around that label. So once you have it the way you want it, you're just going to add the dimensionals to the back. Make sure to place it over some of those pieces of twine so that things don't move around on you. And then this is going to go in the center of our card, a little lower than middle. So maybe something like that. And then we're just going to bring those peaches down on the right side. So I've added dimensionals to almost all of my images, and I'm going to place these starting at the top, coming straight down. I want them not to come off the edge of my card. And then the second one kind of gets hidden behind the top one. So we kind of tuck that in underneath. Again, make sure you don't come off the card too much. And then this one here at the bottom goes underneath our label. So just kind of slide that under. And this one up here comes above our label. So it will look something like this. And then we just add our peaches coming down the kind of the tree branch. So you want, some of these have openings for the stamped image. So you want to make sure you cover up those openings and that you place the peach near the stem. So this one here, I have a glue dot on, and it's just going to go right on top here. We don't want to cover up the greeting, so it's going to be pushed up a little higher than normal. So just as long as you don't cover the greeting, but you do want it to be near the greeting. Then I do have another peach that I've added a glue dot to, and that's just going to get tucked up in here, right underneath that top branch to kind of bring them all together. Okay. Next, we're going to add some of these small little white flowers that I cut out using the coordinating die that comes in the Peaches dies set. And they're also cut from shimmery white, just because I kind of cut them from any of the little openings from the stamps. So to add those, I'm going to use just a little bit of my liquid glue. I'm just going to put some little tiny dots where I want them. I've cut out a lot so that I can use whichever shapes and sizes that I want. So you can see how easy it is to pick up. And then I'm just going to add that over each one of those little dots. Okay, so I've added all those flowers, and the last thing I'm going to add are some rhinestones. And just like before, I'm kind of just adding them in between and around my peaches, maybe add one up on top. And I'm using the small rhinestones here. I did just notice that I do have a flower here at the top of one of my peaches. So I'm going to add that with a little glue. And it's just one of the larger flower sizes. Just a little bit, another little embellishment there. Okay, so that card is all done. I hope you enjoyed watching me create these beautiful cards today. For written instructions and close-up images, you can visit my blog, creativechelsea.com. Thank you so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.